in a tribe where social roles aren't determined by a calendar, but by the necessity to survive, where adapting to the environment has created unique cultural mechanisms that modern anthropology has been studying for decades. Welcome to the world of the Yanomami, one of the most isolated and scientifically intriguing tribes on the planet. In the Amazon rainforest, on the border between Brazil and Venezuela, live around 35,000 people whose social structure challenges modern ideas about transitional periods in human life. The Yanomami have developed a system of cultural adaptations that helps us understand how the environment shapes human communities and their evolutionary survival strategies. When survival dictates social roles. Why don't the Yanomami have adolescence as we understand it? Because their world can't afford the luxury of gradual maturation. In a society where every day is a test of endurance, where diseases from the outside world can take a life in hours, and conflicts between communities determine the fate of entire generations, social transitions happen quickly and decisively. Yanomami girls don't go through the adolescent stage of identity experimentation that we're used to. Their first menstruation becomes a literal boundary between two states, from mother's helper to a full participant in the tribe's socioeconomic system. This isn't arbitrariness or cruelty, but an adaptation to an environment where uncertainty can cost the entire community its life. Rites of passage when biology meets culture. What happens when a Yanomami girl has her first menstrual cycle? This event triggers a series of ritual actions that anthropologists see as a unique form of social transformation. The girl is isolated in a special structure made of leaves, not to humiliate her, but for a symbolic break with childhood. Her old things are destroyed and replaced with new ones. She's fed with sticks so she doesn't touch the food with her hands. This period isn't a punishment, but a ritual that prepares her for a new social role. After the ritual is complete, she officially receives the status of an adult woman, able to marry and continue the lineage. In a world where the average lifespan is much shorter than in the city, such transitions become a matter of social survival. Marriage as a community survival strategy. Why does Yanomami culture practice early betrothals? It's not primitivity, but a complex system of social planning. Marriages between cross-cousins, the children of the mother's brother and the father's sister, form the basis of their social structure. Such unions create a dense network of kinship ties within the community, ensuring its stability in the face of constant external threats. A girl may be promised at an early age, but the actual transition to married life only happens after biological maturity. This distinction is crucial to understanding. Betrothal is social planning, marriage is biological reality. Polygamy as an economic necessity. In Yanomami society, a man can have several wives, not because of male dominance, but because of the economic logic of survival. Women perform critical functions, growing up to 60 different crops that make up 80% of the tribe's diet, gathering medicinal plants, and carrying loads weighing up to 80 pounds. In the face of high mortality and constant conflict between communities, polygamy ensures that the community has enough labor. The senior wife in a polygamous family gets the status of manager, distributing responsibilities among the younger wives. This isn't oppression, but a hierarchical system of managing the household. Raising through participation. No childhood, just preparation. How do Yanomami children grow up? They don't play with dolls, they participate in the community's life support from infancy. Girls from a very early age help their mothers in the garden, learn to distinguish edible plants from poisonous ones, and master the techniques of weaving baskets and preparing food. By the age of their first menstruation, they already have all the skills necessary for independent living. Boys stay with their mothers until the age of 8, after which they come under the care of the men in the community. They're taught hunting, weapon making, forest navigation, and ritual practices. This isn't a deprivation of childhood, but an intensive preparation for adult life in conditions where a mistake can cost a life. Shabono, architecture of social unity. Where do the Yanomami live? In shabonos, collective houses that are an ingenious architectural solution for maintaining social connections. A shabono is a large, circular or oval structure without internal walls where several extended families live at the same time. The center remains open for common ceremonies, and each family has its own section around the perimeter. This architecture physically embodies the principle of collective survival. No privacy, but mutual support. In the shabono, girls observe the entire cycle of family life from an early age: birth, raising children, conflicts, their resolution, death. It's a real school of social skills. The spiritual world as a system of survival. Why do the Yanomami have such a complex system of shamanism? Because in a world without hospitals or police, spiritual practices perform the functions of medicine and social control. Shamans use hallucinogenic substances to communicate with the Hekura spirits, who help cure diseases, predict the weather, and resolve conflicts. Women can become shamans but can't be military leaders. This division of roles is due to practical considerations. Spiritual rituals also include endo-cannibalism, eating the ashes of deceased relatives mixed with banana porridge. This isn't savagery, but a way to maintain the connection between generations and strengthen social cohesion. Conflict as a social regulator. Why are the Yanomami known for their warlike nature? Because conflict for them is a way of regulating resources and maintaining balance between communities. Inter-community conflicts rarely lead to mass killings. More often, they are ritualized confrontations that make it possible to identify the strongest, redistribute resources and wives, and demonstrate a willingness to defend. Men who have participated in successful raids, known as untouched, receive higher status and greater access to marital unions. This creates motivation to participate in conflicts and maintains the community's military readiness. Yanomami women, more than victims of circumstance. What role do women play in this system? They are not passive objects of exchange, but active participants in the social structure. Elderly Yanomami women receive special status. They are inviolable during conflicts, can move freely between warring communities, and participate in political decisions. Their opinion carries weight when deciding on marriages, migrations, and conflicts. Young women, despite starting married life early, maintain ties with their family of origin. If a marriage becomes unbearable due to violence, they can return to their brothers for protection. This isn't divorce in the modern sense, but a form of social support. Adapting to a changing world. How are the Yanomami adapting to contact with the outside world? Their traditional survival mechanisms are facing new challenges. The gold rush of the 1980s brought diseases that wiped out entire communities. Missionary activity has changed some ritual practices. Government health programs are reducing infant mortality, which is affecting the demographic structure. However, the main social mechanisms, like cross-cousin marriages, collective upbringing, and shamanism, continue to function. The Yanomami demonstrate an amazing ability to preserve their cultural identity when in contact with the modern world. What we learn from the Yanomami. What can modern science learn from the Yanomami? Their experience provides unique data on human adaptation. Genetic studies show that the Yanomami exhibit unusual resistance to some diseases due to isolation and natural selection. Their knowledge of medicinal plants surpasses the pharmacological databases of modern medicine. Studying the social structure helps to understand the mechanisms of cooperation and conflict in small communities. Their ritual practices reveal the role of symbolic systems in maintaining social order. Ethical dilemmas of modern anthropology. How can we study the Yanomami without violating their rights? Research on this tribe has become a focus of ethical discussions in anthropology. The contradictory descriptions of Napoleon Chagnon, who presented the Yanomami as fierce people, have been criticized for a one-sided view of the topic and possible influence on the government's attitude towards the tribe. Modern researchers strive for a more balanced approach that takes into account the context and complexity of cultural practices. Protecting cultural heritage. Why is it important to protect the traditions of the Yanomami? Their experience represents a living laboratory of alternative forms of social organization. The Yanomami territory in Brazil is recognized as a reserve of 96,665 square kilometers, making it one of the largest protected territories of indigenous peoples in the world. However, threats from gold miners, loggers, and diseases continue to exist. Preserving the Yanomami culture isn't just a matter of multiculturalism, but preserving a unique experience of human adaptation that may be critical to understanding our future. Lessons for the modern world. What can modern society learn from the Yanomami experience? Their model shows how social institutions adapt to extreme conditions. Their system of collective decision-making based on the consensus of elders offers an alternative to hierarchical power structures. Their integrated approach to ecology, in which every plant and animal has spiritual significance, demonstrates a sustainable attitude towards natural resources. Their conflict resolution practices, although they include physical confrontation, are aimed at restoring balance, rather than completely destroying the opponent. Studying the cultural traditions of the Yanomami opens a window into alternative forms of human organization. Their transitional rituals, marriage practices, and social roles aren't relics of the past, but living adaptations to specific survival conditions. Understanding these mechanisms allows us to better understand the diversity of human experience and the importance of cultural adaptation in a changing world. Every disappearing culture takes with it unique solutions to problems that humanity has faced for millennia.